Chris, was this publicly noticed?
Yes, on June 18th, 2020.
We have a roll call, please.
We are short, so Tabitha, as a surprise yesterday, had twin grandchildren, so she had to fly, so I apologize.
All right, do we have quorum?
We do.
Yes, we do.
Thank you. All right, move on to, we have public comment, and we have speakers today, I believe, that have signed up. If you haven't, we'll give you the slip after you speak. We're gonna have 2 minutes per person, and we could have Pepper up first.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you, Councilman Casey and Chris. I know you guys already know that, and Patton, Miss Patton, President Patton. I know that you guys know that what we're all here to say. And I think that you have all heard us, so I'm not even gonna speak about that. What I would like to speak about is transparency and, information being available to the public. I've noticed that on the website that there are no minutes, for these meetings, and I think that that would help repair the relationship with the public. Chris, you spoke at the BOCC on Wednesday about, there being some kind of a disconnect with information between you and the public, and I think that might be helpful. So that would be excellent, and that's pretty much all I wanted to say, and I'd just like to see you guys, how you operate. Thank you very much, and, thank you for letting me speak and for letting the public show up.
Thank you.
And we just to address that, yes, our website is not great, so we're going through some renovations to that thing, so
Yeah.
we'll take those comments.
Awesome, thank you, sir.
All right, we have Brandon
Francesca, yeah. Francesca, I'm running for Florida House District 1. Last week I learned about y'all like running for jobs. I used to run a staffing company, and I also think that, you know, talking about the transparency of things that you're doing, I think one of the big things that y'all could do, and I thank y'all for letting us speak, is that if your goal is to bring jobs to Pensacola, talking about what those jobs bring, is that when you do bring it up in the upfront, putting that on the website, putting those things, like you showed all that data that's on there, I think that's part of that transparency. And otherwise, that when things happen like this with the data center, maybe that can be preventable to the community, because I spoke to all of y'all afterwards, and you told us that you were on our side, and that is a part of lack of communication. And maybe even if there are those jobs, one thing that I learned is putting them on there so people can apply for them or to show them in the future. So that is one thing that I would recommend to help the people of Pensacola to find new employment.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? All right, well, thank you for coming today. Certainly take that into consideration and get the website updated. All right, see the agenda today, if there's not any additions,
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of the May financials.
Yep, so got your financial packet in there. Starting on the balance sheet there, we have just over 17 million of total assets. Moving up there, we've got, that's including cash of about 1.13 cash. We have been trying to maximize that interest. We've got a little over half of that, about 600,000 sitting in the money market, the rest in our checking account. The other significant items there on the assets is obviously the land, Pegasus land, and then the Tech Park land, reflected there at its current value, or most recently valued value of 14.25 million. We go down to the liabilities. We've got total current liabilities of about 2.6, which has got our county line of credit in there, as its major item. Long-term liabilities of almost 9 million, which is, majority of that is the Pegasus property that's kind of being worked off over time, giving us a net assets of $5.426 million. Jumping over to the P&L year-to-date, top line revenues, we are just shy of 950,000, which is about 7,000 below budget for year-to-date, so kind of on track, pretty much on track there. Our expenses, 797,000 versus a budget of 957, so about 160,000 ahead of budget. The major item in there is our Pegasus expense, which is just a timing of when we're paying and getting reimbursed on that loan, and the back and forth there, so that will be expected to get caught back up. So overall, giving us a net profit year-to-date of just over 150,000 versus a budget break even.
All right, is there any questions? Dave?
Yeah, so I see our interest is about 14,000, not as good as we'd hoped. What are we getting on the money market fund about?
It's about 3.5, 4.
Well, since we found out that we don't have that issue with the $250,000 limitation on that, shouldn't we move more from our checking account to the money market?
There could be some additional expenses as we start to.
But we can move stuff back and forth. Right, we can move it in one day, I believe. So, shouldn't we do what we can to up our interest?
We're keeping an eye on that and trying to keep the cash moving back and forth, so yes, we will.
I mean, I don't know who's in charge of thinking about those things every week. Is it the treasurer on our board, or is it?
That would be me.
Yeah, but-
I mean, my take is, it's okay to respond, my take is that some of that is fine, but too much of that gets confusing. So if you wanted to do a monthly true-up or something, or quarterly, you know, that would make sense to me, and what are the upcoming expenses, you know, kind of looking at it from that perspective, but doing it, you know, sort of just keeping most of the money in the checking account, or in the money market, and then having to move it as expenses come up is a little
I don't think
Yep.
that's a sense of responsibility, I mean, let Chris, I mean, the board just allow Chris to manage that.
Yeah, that's why I don't know who thinks about it, that's all.
I mean, we looked at a sweep to really maximize it, and the sweep was gonna way offset the interest.
No, I remember that. But once we find out that there's not that $250,000 limit anymore insurance, then I was all in favor of pushing as much as we could over to the higher interest, even though it's not as good as it used to be. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? If not, entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries, thank you. You had opportunity to review the April 21st board minutes, or any questions? If not, entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. All right, Chris, yeah.
Go quickly into the community demographics, and for those on the wall, this is gonna be a repeat of what you saw at the Florida West meeting. But looking at the labor force, the numbers came out, and so for April, which is one of our bellwether months that we watch, we came in just under 150,000 folks for the labor force, and unemployment jumped up to 5% from 4.9. It did that also in Okaloosa and Santa Rosa. Interesting enough, as you know, that I have a beef with some of the data coming out of Alabama. Theirs dropped across the board, so it's interesting how we move in different directions and we're part of the same sort of metro. If you look at where we are again with the labor force, we're right on the trend line. And so now that we have got enough data between looking at September and April's, or really the months that are not affected by Christmas or summer or whatever else, it really does give us our trading range. We're sitting there between about 151 to 149,000 people in the labor force. So.
Chris, is did we get much, did we lose much employment at the base and at Corey from the federal government when the Doge thing happened?
There definitely had to be some effect, but talking to Marcus, Dr. McBride, that was some of his what he suspected was going on with some of the Doge.
So do we think that employment has returned over time, or?
I mean, if they are a good worker, they're getting a job in this market.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So, I think we're probably below 5% in my feeling of just kind of looking around the community. You can start to tell. There's a lot of anecdotal signs when you start to get into certain tiers of unemployment. I think we're right there. 4.5.
Well, economists think 4.5 is
4 to
considered.
6. Once you get into that, you're starting to pull people behind a shade tree to make it work. But yeah, and so when you start looking up there like Baldwin at 2.2, that's actually more difficult than being in the 4s or 5s, because there's literally no one to work. And so, the industry starting a real hard time at that point. So this shows that we still have a labor force that we can pull from. Any comments on the demographics? Again, like you can see, like, it was weird, like Monroe County, Alabama dropped from 6.1 to 5.3 in a month. That just doesn't happen, so it's just interesting.
My comment would be if that is accurate, Baldwin's 2.2%, Mobile's 3.3%, seems like opportunity for us.
That's true.
If they wanna co-locate in your industry that they're supporting,
Yep, that we have labor.
we have labor.
Yeah, and 5%, remember, we're the biggest county in the region, so population-wise, 5% of the, almost 400,000 people. Is a
And Baldwin
significant
County
number.
has real ICE issues as well. I mean, and they can't get people on construction sites.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a real, for whatever reason, Baldwin County is a hotbed.
The worst I've ever lived through was, we had a county I was working in, we got to 1.6, and that was off. So it's one of those, you think it's a good thing, but it really isn't. You wanna stay at a healthy number. And hopefully you're continuing to have population move in, and keep that number going as well. And we definitely have people moving in, even though the civilian labor force number doesn't really show it. There's definitely, you can feel it driving around, we've grown in population. Looking at project activity, again, between the Iran conflict and fuel prices and some other uncertainty around the midterms, which seems to be settling out now, that caused a lag for us. And we're starting to recover. We'll show you that in the numbers. We're preparing for Farnborough now. Ashley has been baptized in fire in sort of how do you prepare for a show like that, and trying to set up meetings. Last week we did have a visit from Project Horus, which is an aerospace company, and then looking within the city limits. And we had a manufacturing council meeting coming up this week. And again, that's a closed meeting that just the manufacturers go to, and we just sort of sit there and listen to them and see what their concerns are going forward, and we try to bring some solutions to them. So this is the project activity. We've probably added one more to this for June, so we're about 3 for June. Our goal is 4 a month, and you can see in the dips, this was October 7th with the attack on Israel. This was when we bombed the nuclear facilities in Iran, and then this was the Iran war. So it definitely affects us. When people think that we live in a bubble, it's not true. So we, because we do recruit internationally and things like that, it does matter what's going on the global stage. The other big trigger would be fuel pricing, and so that affects literally every manufacturing product. So looking at that, we have started to recover here May and June, and in July we'll get the bump from the air show as well. So activities starting to get back.
Chris, did you talk to Redjet BDI?
I'm sorry?
Did you talk to Redjet BDI about the capacity thing?
No, that's the next. So he and I are trying to get up with each other, but we'll go through that here in a second. This is the mix of the pipeline that has been generated from October 1 to today. So that 23 projects, or 24 now. So again, the mix is balanced between aerospace, cyber defense, and then you see maritime as the next larger, and then just general manufacturing is what other teams. So that's the majority of our
And
our
Burdine-
workload, it doesn't fit within those four
Burdine
slots.
isn't in here, right?
I'm sorry?
Is Burdine in
No,
here?
no, so if we did not source the project, it's not,
I
we're
understand.
working with them, but
I
it's
just
not
was
part of our
trying
source.
to calibrate how that.
Yeah, we wanna be as, again, as, I don't want any criticism of us overstacking our numbers. You know
That
what I mean?
wasn't the point of it.
No, but I mean, that's a good point to bring up.
I
We-
agree with you.
Yeah, I used to, we had a neighboring county where I used to work, that they would count every McDonald's and everything that fell out of the sky, and you're like, that's great, but that's not real. That's
No,
not-
no, no,
Yeah.
so, I mean, the point, I guess, is maritime or.
Yes, that's
as
additional
would-
maritime
would-
on top of
Those
it.
numbers would increase that, I was just looking at that,
Yep.
so, thank you.
And so when you look at, what's in the entire pipeline, so this is, so the total pipeline is 45 companies, about 4 billion and almost 4,000 jobs in there. Again, we win 4 to 6%, so we have to constantly have that pipeline getting full. So 18% aerospace, 16% maritime, again, half of it's, manufacturing in general, it doesn't fall into those four categories. The life science is one that we hope will start to really grow too, as we start to be able to take advantage of some of the, assets there, University of West Florida, and what they can provide the labor force for that group. So again, where we are with the pipeline, we're at 19 suspects, 6 prospects, 19 projects, and we've announced 5 companies, since October. So the funnel, it's an hourglass for sure. So at least we're filling the top now. That was a problem for a bit. We were worried about that right here was pretty thin, and so it would show up later in several months, but, we've seemed to have recovered on that. The result of the 5 projects we've announced is, 184 million, so it's 204% of goal. We've had, 485 jobs announced, that's 162% of our goal. And again, you can see it's a wide range. And we're very happy over the last 18 months to have announced everything from, Century to CoLab and all communities in between, McDavid to the city. So we're very excited about where things are going. Any questions on the product? Or excuse me, on the projects? So product development wise, opportunity zones have been submitted, and so they're up for the governor's final consideration. We worked hand in hand with the city as well as Century to make sure that we were all in alignment when we submitted those. So the number 1 is Century, the number 2 and 3 tracks are around the Baptist Hospital. And then we have, some up at the Bluffs as well as other parts of the city. So, Anna Kate was, very, very good, when we were working through that process. Central Commerce Park. So we have received an LOI on 50 acres within that park. That is now at legal at the county, and so we've got some changes. I've made some, comments that they need to redline, and then Allison and her team are working on that, to get that back to the company. At the same time, we've been meeting with county staff about working toward the horizontal development. We've been meeting with ECUA just to kind of talk about from a needs perspective. We've got to still get back up with Donovan Hill on the capacity at Cottage Hill, waterworks. But from everything that we can tell, we're gonna need an elevated tank of probably 500,000 gallons. And so based on what Don Palmer and I've talked about, so we'll confirm, start to go through that with, the Donovan Hill team and see, if that's gonna be enough. And then that will go into we'll now go to the county and ask for a Triumph application, pre-app, if we can submit that and start going through the process.
But by elevated, is that like a water tower or
Yes.
just a tank on the ground?
That'll be up, because you need the pressure of the height, so.
And the problem is because we're kind of up on a bluff there.
No, it's because I have a garden hose instead of an actual water
Ah.
system.
Okay.
So, Cottage Hill is 800 gallons a minute, we need 3,000 to 4,000. So we need to have storage.
But you don't need a 24/7, that's why you can buffer with the tank.
Yeah, so they can fill it over time, but it needs to have some, some storage for it as well as the oomph when it comes down. And so then the company that'll go there has an ESFR system, which is very common for those require probably a separate tank anyway, a booster pump. So on top of the tank, the company will have to do something there, which is not. That's very common, they would have a storage tank with water and a pump in case of a fire.
Is the new person working at ECU Radio?
I don't know, I've only communicated with Don in the interim role.
I think they selected somebody.
I don't think they're there yet, but it's soon, supposedly.
I do think that we have. The next is outlying fields, and so we're meeting with Tri-Group on a regular basis. I did get a note from them just to give you a quick update on that. They submitted the future land use plan, to the county on April 16th. It is, they held a meeting with the county on June 8th, to kind of discuss that. They've had revisions, that were submitted to them, and they've, been going through that system, so it's basically, they have some letters of interest that are going out, to several projects that may be, within the other districts. So hopefully we will get something looking at the ETI district here soon. So it seems to be moving, ETI is the area that the county controls. The bluffs, so we're now waiting on the green light, from Donovan Hill to kind of move forward. Do you mind, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name's Ryan Weed, I'm representing Donovan Hill. Typically, maybe before David would be here, he's unexpectedly had to be out of town. So, just answering, giving you an update on the project. So, the Bluffs Roundabout has received its Santa Rosa County DRC approval. So, it's been recently. However, during that time, DOT decided they were gonna look at the project for review. They have it now, they're currently reviewing it. We're told that will not take long, to be short, but that's where we are now, waiting for DOT's final approval in order for that to, in order for that to be through all its reviews.
In the anticipated time on where we can bid it?
We're just told that DOT, would be, you know, they're looking at it and doing it quickly. I can't give you an expected time, it could be, I would expect, we're measuring it.
Is the person reviewed because they have to pay for it, or is it because they're gonna maintain it after it's finished?
I know your first condition that they're telling me, that they wanna look at it, they wanna review it for that end. I'm not sure about the maintenance, I'd have to ask.
They're not gonna maintain it, no.
So it'll be a county road, Stephen?
And then, with that, we would like to get, your approval for us to, assuming we get all approvals from the state, is to move forward with the bid. Motion.
I'll move for that.
All right, motion is second. Any further discussion, questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Are you real in tune with the project?
For tangentially involved.
So whatever issue came up a couple weeks ago, Chris, that's
Yeah.
handled?
That is handled. So there was a, they needed an additional area to have trucks go around during some of the construction, so it was an additional construction easement that was required, and Ascend gave that to us.
The issue with the county, because that was gonna require a new signature from them out of Texas.
Oh, yeah, that was it, it was around so where the circle was in the construction, there was a bolt that came out, and so they gave us that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been. Tech Park, we're still working, so we're working with Grace Designs. They've submitted an in-kind, application to us, to Florida West for, their providing free design work on that, on the first building that would go into it. And so that would include elevations and some additional work. We are examining the possibility of spec building and pre-leasing. As soon as we bring that, elevation to you to approve, we will then immediately put a sign up and start pre-leasing on the site. We've talked to a couple financial institutions about their requirements so that we can get financing for traditional financing, as well as looking at bond financing. And then, Triumph's how does that apply into that mix? So, looking at several different ways to fund the first project. We do have some folks that are interested, in that are smaller, so they wouldn't take the whole building, they would take certain parts of floors. And so we have to achieve, basically, the pre-lease within 1 day one to cover the debt service. And then we can start to move forward with the traditional. And again, we have some other revenue through bonds or through grants and maybe even Triumph where that can help offset the other financing. We've gained a better understanding. Allison set up a meeting for us at the city, and so we were able to really understand the covenants and restrictions a lot better and what variances we already have in our pocket. And then the other thing that came out of that was our stormwater is 100% taken care of. So we can be almost 100% impervious, I think is what they had said. So that is, we won't do that, but that's fantastic. Yes, yes. You don't wanna make it full concrete. But it is, that's great, because that was gonna be a huge number. And so we can move forward.
Does that go to the pond?
And there's, I don't know where it is, but there's a massive
It's
pipe.
right across, well, right down the street, across the street.
Not in big.
Chris, a few years ago in this room, we considered, bringing in a developer of a, secure workrooms as a service where people live by the hour, day, week, month, year. And we had a partner that had an arrangement with NSA to build those facilities that was gonna be standalone. And Scott left and it just didn't work out. Is there a possibility in this spec building, we could get those people back engaged again? Cause I keep hearing from contractors that they're tired of driving to Montgomery when they gotta go into a skiff.
I mean, that can definitely be part of it. Creating a skip isn't that difficult, so.
I wonder how you could pick up the threads from before, like, I don't know what, I'm sure the file's in your office, but what it was called, I don't recall.
Right.
Do you remember, Stephen?
I just remember how, I do remember how expensive it was.
Yeah.
It's really expensive,
Right.
really my second way. I mean, I don't know, was it $1,200 a square foot?
It was a lot, yeah.
It's a huge number.
Well, and I think one of the main, users may have solved this for themselves, or at least they were.
Wasn't it expansion on the quarry or something? Wasn't the user off the quarry?
So we're still looking at Corey, with the DRG grant. And so that's gonna help with a larger skip space there. And IHMC is working on their own skip. I think they were one of the
But I
users.
don't know if they've gotten
Yeah.
that across the finish line yet, so. And, I think defense funding has become trickier these days. Grants have been canceled, things are happening, so
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what their situation is, but I think there's some uncertainty, we'll just put it that way.
Well, a spec skip is hard, I mean, for us, there may be some other group, but that would, like you said, the number's so high.
Well, right, but we had this partner that was, we were gonna get some trial money and so forth and build this thing, as I recall, as a standalone. So it's kinda like, maybe it's not, I think it's cheaper to build it into a building that you're building for some other purpose. But it may also be that if the quarry project is looking good, that that's a lower cost per square foot because it's massive.
But, yeah.
Where do we stand on the, talking with the Navy about quarry? Are they still encouraging us to?
Yeah, Mom, Son, and I have been chatting about some stuff, not only Corey, but Softly Field and Bronson Field. Looking at those developments too.
But as I recall, to make the quarry project work, we need to get a 30-year lease, and then the numbers work really good.
So it's a IGSA agreement, almost likely what, so you have to get, they do a lease with a private person, we would probably be the developer of the building if
Right.
possible. So that's what we've talked about. She's doing the same thing right now with UWF and dormitories for Corey. So we were also offered that opportunity, that is not.
Not our lane.
No, I thought the the UWF's better built for that, and right now, their bandwidth is, they need this done ASAP, so they're gonna be the first, that'll be the guinea pig on the IGSA, model, and then we can try to see if that is something we wanna tackle for the
Well, do you know what the Defense Alliance is in lobbying this thing at Big Navy to get that waiver for the 30-year lease? Cause that's probably something that Congress is gonna have to implement. I heard that Congress is gonna have to put that in the NDA.
It's not the nice thing is it's not you're not having to dump the money into one appropriation, right? So the IGSA is just like a rental agreement.
Right.
That is worth gold for financing. It's good. So it's just a different model.
Well, to me, I see that as such a critical project because that solidifies our enterprise at Quarry, which for those of you that haven't visited is a bit of a light language, not very nice. They're teaching people in trailers surrounded by barbed wire.
So when you look at tech, this is just some of the general concepts we've looked at. A lot of it's gonna depend on what it costs. So in theory.
The architect in you, Shelley,
Huh?
the architect. Your earlier degree program.
Oh, yeah. So the buildings are here, again, just general concepts to give you an idea what we're kind of thinking about. It would be 4 buildings on the Bay Center side with a parking deck in the middle. And then on the Aragon side, it would be 2-story buildings that are, or we think that's what they'll be, with 4 buildings there in a green space in between, so.
And what we did learn though during our meeting was that was always my understanding, is that those were the height maximums, if you will, requirements, and that's not the case. And not to say that we should deviate from that, I'm just saying that, it sounds like
And we
there is
could go
more
100 feet.
flexibility.
Oh, really? So that turns out not to be true? Huh.
But when you think about a floor plate of 25,000 square feet, 4 stories, 100,000 square feet of office, that's a lot of
Yeah.
office. So to go higher creates all kinds of other expenses, you have wind load and other things you have to consider, so your foundation just gets exponentially kind of bigger.
I thought part of the issues were with some agreement with Aragon.
So
Is that not a formalized thing?
It's not, and this, what was that document called? I don't have a copy of it in front of me, but anyway, there was basically, it went before what at the time was the Gateway Review District Board, and there were certain variances that were adopted, and all of that, if we followed that, it's still in place. If we tried to do something that wasn't consistent with that, plan that was adopted, and I think Aragon was part of the discussions in the process to come to that, agreement as to what went before the Gateway Review Board. I think if we didn't follow that, we'd have to then go back and ask for variances to the planning board from the city land development code.
They're saying you could go up to 100 feet without needing any further.
Certainly,
variance from anybody.
in that plan.
In the plan,
It
yeah.
was
On the
sort of-
Bay Center side.
Now,
On the
granted,
Aragon
given my
side,
position, I'm not suggesting that's a good idea at all. And certainly would wanna engage Aragon if we were ever gonna do that, but I just thought it was interesting that I was always under a certain impression that it wasn't
I
necessarily.
do think, if I recall, the Aragon side was like, maybe 4 or 5 stories. Is what it was capped at. So it was different, but it
And
was
that's
substantially
what-
larger than we thought.
But you're saying that's a formalized agreement?
It's a variance, as long as we do not deviate from that. If we do deviate, we don't have to go through the ARB or any other, we just go straight to planning board with the county or city, and then.
And I think that
I
was.
mean, it would seem to open up options. I mean, if you have somebody trying to figure out how to do the building, it doesn't matter, but if you have somebody that's a real large user, that would seem to be an advantage.
Yes.
They've got that capacity.
And I think the other big thing that came out of it, that was number one revelation, and the second one was just that this is Gateway Review District no longer has a board, so it goes to planning board. ARB doesn't have anything to do with the standards. But now the Gateway Review standards are more along the lines of similar to what is in the surrounding area. I mean, that's high level summary. There's a little more to it than that. So, it's far less restrictive, but obviously we have to take into consideration, should Aragon and what's what's going on across the street, that's it.
What were you saying, did you say a percentage that they would want pre-leased to finance a building, 60%, what's the number?
So the revenue coming in off those leases needs to be a 1-to-1 with the debt service.
100%, they want 100% of debt service off the gross revenue, they don't care about the percentage. I mean, if you can gouge somebody for 20% of your square footage to cover your note, then
Yeah.
that's fine, but then, okay.
And they
Who's the
said at
bank
the end
who
of
has
the-
that requirement?
But that's just sort of a general banking. And so, and then you want you to be fully released at least 25%.
How did the geotech come back?
It's fine for a 4-story building that they anticipated outside of, they did say the a structural engineer should look at it for wind load.
Of course.
So that was the only thing, so,
So the soil wasn't bad?
no, we were shocked that it
I was shocked too.
It didn't have something, right? It came back as big.
Alright,
It
so
seems
that also means that basically we would have no limitation on the parking garage on the northwest corner of the property.
Mhm.
Is that where you'd favor it if you had to put a pin in today as the northwest corner?
One was, just, I'm not an architect nor an engineer, but that would seem to be the most likely area that you would put it, to tie to the base center, if that's the goal. Then
Which I think is a good goal.
it would seem like that would be the goal, I would hope that would be the goal, and that would seem like the most, reasonable and plausible spot. And especially if that doesn't have limitations, on the northern half of the property. Because, I mean, that is I think when you start trying to spec out the financials for a parking garage, it is space.
100% agree.
The first space is a big deal, and if you can go a couple more stories, it would seem to be, hopefully make it a little bit more marketable. I mean, we've got to figure something out. We can't put $100 million into the neighboring facility and not have one.
Baptist did.
Well, and having the base
Baptist
center
Hospital did that.
there to help pay for it
Plan for parking.
and extend the hours of use from 9 hours a day to, I don't know, average maybe 12 hours a day, that would be
You charge
great.
$15-20 for a
Right.
concert, in the garage per car, that can really offset.
And I mean, you also can have the elements, if you have, if you're parking out of the elements, that's a huge, I think that's a huge draw. If you have visibility to get to the base center and also out of the elements, that's a huge draw.
Question I have though, so would it work for whatever building is on the northeast quarter? Would people be willing to walk,
Yeah.
how many hundreds of people?
Half a block, 3/4 of the block.
One would think, yes, but.
But again, we're a long way from that final thought, but yeah, for sure, the parking deck has got to play and participate with the basin, for sure, for the makes sense. And like you said, the hardest part's the first floor, each floor after that's marginally less.
Right, but every floor after that, you're lowering your per spot.
Exactly.
You're lowering your per spot expense by, 5-6% per spot for each floor.
Is that right?
It's substantial.
Wow.
Because you're so much into it's almost like running your 2 paper machines at IP. You've got so many fixed expenses, your additional spots don't cost what your first spots cost, your additional tons of paper off the second machine
Sure.
don't cost what your first machine does.
Chris, is the, people that you're working with consider whether putting retail up on the first floor would be good at the garage, and does that look like the numbers work for that or
I
not?
think we would want to activate the first floor with some sort of retail, not only support the people that are in the park, but also support Aragon and the surrounding.
Everybody.
Yeah, and the big, for sure.
We did do spectral, if we control it, we could actually make that happen versus, relying on somebody else.
What is the kind of the market right now on parking garages? Are they mostly brought in third-party money and then controlled and run completely by a third party, or are municipals maintaining control and ownership, and what's standard right now? Or what's the
I honestly don't know, that's a good.
You and I talked 10 times, talked once about getting together with somebody who understands the economics of parking garages. and
Well,
all
don't we
that
have a
stuff.
company here in Pensacola, if that's their business?
Jake Carson has a lot of experience with it.
Mhm. So I feel like that should be the next step.
Yes, I mean, that's part of it, I mean, we've got, that's gonna be something that's gonna happen on the island too. And I know we've had some of those just come in, they, but I know, we've had some of those people in town.
If that happens, maybe, you know, see if you can get some time and get educated. Cause I think I do believe there are public-private, possibilities for that. I just don't know
Even if
about
we
it.
just put debt money into it, you know, not a large part of it, but if it was subsidized a little bit with debt money from the municipality, which, you know, okay, as long as it ends up with a parking lot, you know, that's the deal, I mean.
But the idea, Stephen, is that the third party takes the financial risk, maybe we provide the land, and then they run it.
That's, I mean, I don't know what the industry is right now, I mean, I know the expense of, you know, the concrete expense has not come down any. Other materials have come down a lot, but concrete has not, so, I mean, that's just, has continued to jack up the per spot, parking garage prices, I believe. So I don't know what to, you know, maybe it's you gotta contribute the real property plus, plus dollars, I don't know what's standard, or what's, I don't know what potential's out there.
Well, CMEX is right down the street, and they got a ship of cement that comes in every 6 weeks.
They claim having that at our port means lower prices for us, so.
Well, we should talk to them about when they help us out there.
The guys that are supplying concrete said it hasn't made any difference. You know, what makes a difference, what I'm told is making a huge difference in the concrete prices is the fact there's only like 3 suppliers in the world, they've got the market, they control the market, and those prices on the goes into it.
Well, I know CMEX is interested in extending their lease with the city, so you just have to wonder whether they might wanna, like, help us out on the tech park.
I'm not sure we wanted to extend the lease with this.
Well, that might be true too.
I mean,
Inland.
I don't know.
So again, sorry, so the roundabout, did we do that? Yeah.
We did.
I'm brain dead, sorry. This is the other request is, for the next 3 months or so, is to do a month-to-month contract and to get some additional staffing support related to the capital projects, specifically Central Commerce and Midtown, and working with, us, cause, we're gone with Farnborough and some other stuff, and we really need Central Commerce for the LOI is under a time crunch, and so we need to really be moving forward, gathering all the information, for all the components of it. So we have somebody, telling me that Rob Bandy, and his company, is a large nationwide firm that can do that, so he would be, in our office, actually 1 to 2 days a week, just dedicated to this, not for the whole day, but throughout the week, about 2 days worth of work. So just to put some cushion in there, we're saying, can you approve up to $10,000 a month for the next 3 months, to get us through this fiscal year? And so then we would move forward with him to make sure that we start getting all the specs on the elevated tank and all these other things that have to come about, making sure that we're working with Cottage Hill.
You're not contracted at $100 an hour.
It's 115.
Doesn't like a lot.
Chris, may I ask, given the rhythm of how, I mean, you guys are doing a great job. Should we be looking at adding somebody on a long-term basis at a lower cost per hour? I know hiring somebody.
I mean, at some point, we could look at doing that. It's just a matter of funding and,
Is it justified? Cause this is the
I
time to
think
go
with
back
all
and
the
ask
pro-
for more money from
with
our
all the
county or
projects
city.
that we're working, it's starting to clip into where we probably need some additional staff. One staff member to help with capital projects.
Well, it's budget season.
It's just so much in question, so I don't know that, but that's up to you guys. You tell me what you wanna do.
Well, if you can justify it, shouldn't we be asking?
When are they going?
July 17th to 23rd. I got vacation too.
Steve, what do you think of the possibility of getting some more money from our governments to underwrite an additional position? Assuming we can justify it.
I mean. I mean, you know, it's, the budget stuff is not gonna be, you know, it's probably not a really healthy conversation right now. Chris, I don't know, I mean. How about 6 weeks to get through another meeting and figure something out, so.
Okay.
I'm not interested, maybe, you know, even 3 months of,
Okay.
that's a pretty hotbed position.
So
For
6
something I have no idea either, I mean, I'm not familiar with what you're talking about, so, which is fine. That's,
This is the kind of thing we would need to RFP at all, or?
It was under the threshold.
What's the threshold?
I think at minimum for just like engineering services around 34,000. But then again, as a consultant, it's a little bit different, so there's.
you bring it, you know.
I'm curious, just for my own information, what the threshold is.
It's usually a dollar number.
And I can send you more of a breakdown, and it would depend too on if it's professional services like engineering or construction contract, those hit the thresholds quicker.
I've moved to approve $15,000 for this, and that's managed within that.
Okay.
Bring something else.
Second.
Will that work?
I got a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Maybe this is a time to talk about, because this sort of idea has also been floated, not so much for technical engineering type services, but just for coordination and, project management of some of the things that are going, or some of the, proposed projects or collaborations that are being discussed as it relates to Tech Park, and maybe having someone who can help really help us analyze whatever, hopefully, potential participating entity wants, figure out where the, you know, whether there are synergies there, figure out, because we have a lot of interest, we just have different organizations really trying to do this on the side of their desks, and there's nobody really responsible for it. And so it means that it goes very slowly, and when meetings happen, they're maybe not as productive as they could be if there's somebody driving this. So it's just something that we've talked about, nothing to do today on it, but this consultant that we're talking about here is a bit different, but this would be somebody who would be more of a project manager. And if we're doing a spec building, it might be somebody who could help us figure out whether the entities that are currently interested could possibly get their act together, you know, and be part of that project, so.
Yeah, and that does bring up, sorry, there's another project, Project Keystone, that's looking at Tech Park as well, who have their own, potentially their own building, or could be a part of the spec building.
Okay.
Real quick, looking at the marketing update, just so you know, what we've been up to here, obviously it was Economic Development Week back in May. We've been advertising on social media, just this 1950s kind of concept, just to attract, it looks different, so people, you know, kind of look at it. So we did Florida West for a while, that was a billboard ad, and then we, have now pulled that and migrated to Collab. We will then pull Collab and migrate to aerospace as we go to the Farnborough Air Show. But so those are the, sort of, you know, a way to kind of get some good traction out there and get some eyeballs on us. Collab is doing incredibly well now. Tabitha has gone and gathered most of the dollars that were outstanding from people that had not paid their rent. We're down to 4 units that are available right now, so
Wow.
we want to get to an 80% utilization of the building, if not to 90, and so that's what we're really focused on. So we're going to use social media to make sure people are aware of what's available here, and all the coaching that Pat and everyone can do. We're also trying to add more value. We met with the tenants. We talked to them about the increase of rent to sort of help us with the cost increases that we were facing from PSC. And so that went over surprisingly well. But they did ask about additional value in the building. So we're gonna try to bring in, additional mentoring and other, just bring in assets like lawyers and others that they need on a daily basis that they can trust. And so that's exciting where we're going with CoLab. We also did a NAIOP presentation where it was.
Before we jump away from CoLab, I did notice on the poster out there that we do offer consulting services on a regular basis, and I guess people just have to sign up with you, and then you sit down with them and talk quarterly?
The lease requires at least quarterly meetings with me.
What requires?
And,
As
the
part of the
board,
coaching.
the policy board, stipulations under the master lease agreement also has the board as contributing to both the mentor pool and also the sponsors for alternative revenue sourcing. So there's a variety of things going on there with some operational support and with Tabitha's get stuff done approach, we're seeing some big changes and improvements, yes.
So it's much more than just some office space and a copy machine.
Absolutely.
Just
And this-
one more point for the record, Dave. Florida West is one of the co-founders of the SCI VMS program that Mr. Studer administrates to the Studer Community Institute. So there were 6 organizers that were trained. I'm one of the 2 remaining ones that have been through the full program at MIT. DC and Gracie left, Jim and Barbara, PSC, UWF, they've all left. It's Brian Wire and I now that are active mentors that are engaged. So we also refer our clients over to the VMS program for participating over there. So we have a lot of other resources that the board might need to know.
We can do later, we can do a full kind of presentation on the value of CoLab and what it does. It not only does it help our entrepreneurs, but it also provides a soft landing. So sometimes in the life cycle of the company, when they come to, like from Europe to here, they would establish a sales office first, then usually service and distribution, and then manufacturing. And so having CoLab provides that sales office soft landing spot. So it has a lot of values in a lot of different ways.
You might mention Field International.
Yeah.
Came here as a soft landing. JES, which is Japanese engineering firm in Kyoto, they also have a company active in the program. We've sort of built a hybrid program for them. They're the forerunner for a manufacturing entity, but they're also an entrepreneurial startup. They're engaged with the county government with the stormwater pond pollution remediation technology that they patented. So they're working on a research program with the county and also the University of West Florida.
So looking at the marketing activities, we were just kind of bumping along for a while. And so we went out and hired a group called SNA Today. I'd had some experience with them in the past. And so we went from 3,800 on a monthly average to, in April, 17,000. So the organic doubled.